Right. The procurement process, materials to be managed, right? So as a procurement manager or procurement specialist, so you are going to manage the material and you should know what is happening to the materials. So once we procured or purchased, then it has to be delivered to warehouse. So the warehouse location, warehouse, they call capacity, the design, and how things are managed in the warehouse. Everything should be overall understanding you should have. Actually, whatever the subject we are discussing, everything is knowledge-wise, we are having everything together. But as a procurement professionals, we are not going to deal directly. But we are going to deal with the people who are dealing directly. Right? So there is a warehouse manager. So you are going to have a communication with this guy. So there are certain technical terminologies he is going to apply, he is going to use it. And at the time, you should have some understanding about what is happening. So how you are going to support them. Like receiving is there one side, another one is dispatching is there. So once the material received, right, it has to be stored. Then later it will be packaged, repackaged, and then will be sent or dispatched to another client, another customer. So through production, the material can be converted into final product. So that will be also sent as the dispatching area. So packaging, basically receiving, storing, packaging, and then dispatching. So these are the main activities you can see there. So if you look at that storing, different type of storages are there. How you are going to store, there are certain policies, practices are there. We are going to learn one by one. And in the subject, you have certain understanding about the warehouse management, more focus on design. So according to your textbook, the contents are focusing more on design area and layout design, so how things are managed, and also barcode system. So the subject is covered. Okay, who's there now? Also a message from Remy. What's the message? Away from that. Fine. So warehouse, you can see this warehouse. I will send some videos for you today, and then you can see there is a software we call warehouse management system. Warehouse management system. So under that software, you can see how warehouse operations are managed. So that related videos I will share the link to you. If you watch it, you will have a big picture. You will have an overall understanding what is this warehouse operations about. Okay. So can you see the warehouse now on the screen?
Yes.
So this is the warehouse actually. Okay. Warehouse are the crucial components of most modern supply chain. Okay. So if you look at that, without warehouse, there are certain operations are done. But if you are going to go for in mega level, if you are going to do, you need a warehouse. You need your things to be stored, right? When you are storing, according to the material handling, the palletization, and also the volume, you are going to set up your warehouse capacity differently. So maybe small scale business, they may have a warehouse. They can get a rented warehouse. They can have a small space. Then they can put their things, but they don't need a big one. So like GWC here, now you can see the big companies like if you look at that Amazon, they are not producing anything. They are the one having a big warehouses. Then they are collecting everything, keeping, and then transporting, dispatching. So basically, we need to have an understanding in the supply chain process. Now, the modern supply chain, warehouse role is very important because just take it and share it. Like here in Qatar, there is no production here. Very few productions are going on. But what they are doing, they have the warehouse. Even if you go to Dubai also, the same. You have lots of warehouses and where from the shipment, everything is collected and repacked. It will be sent to some other places. So this is what happening. So this is also one of the business people are doing. So in the modern supply chain, components of warehouse cannot be avoided. So it is part of it. So they are likely to be involved in various stages like sourcing, production, and distribution of goods, from handling raw material to work in progress to finished products. Basically, when you are storing the products in the warehouse, you are storing raw material also, very fresh material. And also part of the process, you are going to have your work in progress materials, right? Work in progress items are going to come, like partially made. Like if you look at that, what do you call axe? I always talk about simple example, axe. So the wood is cut into pieces, then it will be kept. So the metal will be cut into pieces, it will be kept. Later, it will be sharpened and kept. Then handle will be shaped up and kept. So these are work in progress, not yet completed, right? And then finally, final product is the one assembled, finally finished product. That is the one who is going to be transported. Yeah? That is the one going to be transported to customer hand. So there will be three types of materials. We are going to store them. One is raw material. Another one is work in progress. And the other one is finished product. So these are the three types of materials can be stored in the warehouse. Right. So basically, if you look at the warehouse, the materials, according to the sensitivity, you are going to use it. For example, certain materials are very highly sensitive products, or not material, products, let's say product. Certain products are highly sensitive. Highly sensitive products, you have to keep them in the freezer. So that's the temperature wise. And then we have sensitive products that has to be kept in the cooler, right? For example, highly sensitive product, we are calling them all beef items. Okay, you are going to keep them, fish, chicken, whatever all you have to put in the freezer. And then milk, cheese, these kind of things, we have to put in the cooler, even some vegetables.
Chiller, yeah.
Yeah. There are some items you have to keep them into in the warehouse that can be in the room temperature. So according to the sensitivity of the product, according to the temperature is required, it has to be stored separately. So there is separations. So thermo setup should be there. At the same time, certain materials cannot be stored mixed with other items. So like chemicals, it has to be separately stored. And then access of that accessing area should be very much limited, and also certain authorization is needed. Likewise, highly expensive items. There are materials which is very expensive, but very quantity-wise very rare. So few quantities are there. That also has to be kept in the right place in a safe manner. There are certain things, safety, security, employees' health and safety, right? Work-life balance. There are so many things we have to consider coming under this subject. Okay, Rima, we are discussing right now the new module. That is what we call whole asset management coming under that. There are three subjects are coming. One is warehouse management. Other one is material management. Third one is cost management. So these are the subjects we are going to discuss. So the first one we are discussing about the warehouse management.
Okay.
Right? Fine. So in the warehouse management, we are having more focus on layout, design, these areas, more focus coming under your module. But anyway, I will give you overall understanding, because if you study only the layout and structure, that is not going to work. So what I have to give you a big picture, and part of it, you will understand everything. So that's a great thing. Otherwise, there will be a area that you don't you don't have an understanding about it. So basically, you need to have that understanding. So part of the process, you have to understand it. So in the warehouse, another thing that we have to understand, customer service levels, provisions of customer service level, according to the supply and demand. You know, the demand and supply. Customers, the quantity they demanded by the customers has to be forecasted. So those items to be purchased and stored in the warehouse. So you need to make sure these things are going to be delivered accordingly. And when things are going to be packed and repacked or transported, so these items are going to be dealt with like TLC. We call that tenderly loving care, without damaging. Yeah, it has to be taken and handled without any damages, right? Or breaks. So warehouse are the integral part of the supply chain, we understood. Need to design and operate in the line with the specific requirements of the supply chain. So warehouse are often the most costly elements of the supply chain. That is also important, because warehouse rent is basically it's very high. If you are running a warehouse, you have the cost. There are so many things, electricity, water, yeah, and equipment, tools, employees, right? Even license. There are so many things are coming under that. So you have to have some expenses. And also you have to think about always that has to be managed properly. Okay. Principles of store and warehouse. So stand alone. But now the warehouses are basically a small scale or large scale. The storage facilities can be there according to the business, as I said. And warehouses are large scale storage facility that can be like a standalone, meaning that will be not connected with the production. So it's directly assembling, it's dealing with the retailers. They are dealing with the standalone. Integrated mean you are going to have all. So everything will be there. And distribution centers and distribution hubs also coming into that. Stores and warehouse may contain the following: raw material, partly processed material. This is the one work in progress. And part of fully assembled components and spare parts, items returned from customers. This is what we call damaged items or returned items. We call return management, right? So these also will be kept in the warehouse. So you should have a space for managing the returns. Items used in the part of the process of manufacturing, equipment stored that you are going to deal with that particular warehouse. The purpose of the stores and warehouse to make stock available internal or external customer in line with the stocking decision of organization. According to the demand, things are going to be stored. That number should be make sure. You have to make sure that number is already there. Maintain a safe environment of workers. That is health and safety, hygiene. These things are going to be there. So that's very important. People getting sick. Some warehouses, maybe when people are working, they are getting sick. And then, some when they are handling chemicals, they are dealing with certain issues. Health hazard is there, right? So certain warehouses are very risky. Certain warehouses easy. Food kind of things are okay. But if you move for chemical, really you need a special cover, special dress code, uniforms, safety equipments. You have to handle with that. To maintain secure environment to avoid stock losses. Then you have to make sure your stocks are maintained. Maintain a suitable environment for stock, minimize the losses and damage, and also deterioration. So you have to make sure things are going to be maintained in the warehouse without any damage. Right. At the same time, to fulfill the purpose, store and warehouse managers and staff need to do the following. When we are receiving things, you have to receive, inspect, record, store, all, whatever, it should be counted and everything should be inspected. So when you receive, you have to make sure the quantity, quality, yeah, is there any damages, everything should be checked, double checked, or leakages, whatever it is. Right, and retrieve and record, release stock, authorized person, providing documentation, packaging as required. So if there are any special orders, the orders coming for dispatching. So at the time, the quantity, quality, according to the requirement, things are use-free date, expiration date, everything should be double checked. Things to be released. Okay. Report and liaise internal, external on stock availability. So you have to have a coordination with the people who are dealing with the stock management, and reordering and future stock level should be considered. So if there is a shortage, you have to make sure that things are going to be in advance. You have to communicate. You have to communicate in advance, because there is a time for lead time. We call that once we place the order until you receive the order, that's a time gap. We call that lead time. So that lead time, during the lead time, there is a possibility for shortage. So in order to avoid this, you have to maintain the stock level and minimize the stock losses and damages. At the same time, manage and account for return, stock inwards and stock return to the suppliers. So you have to make sure that's a system counting. So you have to count this, what is coming, what is going, what is remaining, and in what condition are they. So where it is, you need to have that idea should be there in the warehouse. There are different type of warehouses: centralized warehouse, regional warehouse, local warehouse, warehousing in another country, outsourcing warehouse, partnering warehouse. So these are the different type of warehouses. Okay. So centralized warehouse is generally when you're doing purchasing centralized. So everything will be there. From there, everything will be supplied. Regional area, then from the main warehouse to regionally, there will be a sub warehouse. Local warehouse internally, you are going to deal with that. Warehouse in another country is internationally, you are going to go for outsource warehousing. So now somebody is going to manage your storage. These are outsourced. So you are not managing your storage. You are not dealing. Somebody will do. So they are going to pay it. So at the same time, partnering. So you are going to deal with the partnering industry. Principles of stores and warehouse. We discussed this one. Role of warehouse. The primary objective of the warehouse to facilitate the movement of goods through supply chain to the end customer. So now the materials are coming from the supplier that will be, converted into a final product, and this final product will be stored again according to the customer requirement. It will be sent to customer's hand. You understand? So material, once purchased, it will come to warehouse. You have to keep them stored. So these are raw materials. Separately, you are going to keep it. You can't mix with the raw and finished product together. For example, if you look at rice, cooked rice before cooking rice. These two are different things. Right? Cooked rice is a final product. Before cooking, raw material. So it has to be separated. Final product should be separated. The work in progress is a different thing. Like the materials, especially when you are dealing with, is a raw under process. For example, you have chopped onions, you have cut tomatoes. It's there in the freezer, in the cooler. You are keeping as needed, you are using. This is part of it. But before cutting, it will be raw, right? When you are making a sandwich, once the onion and tomato is placed already under that product, so it's finished product. Now it's cut, right? So you have to understand the different type of materials that you are dealing with, and you have to understand how these things are going to be taken to customer hand from the raw material to final product. This will be managed the warehouse. Everything will be kept in the warehouse. So it has a big role. Warehouse has a big role because once you purchase, things are going to come there. Even the return, as I said, the customer returning things, where are you going to keep these? So you have to keep again in the warehouse. There should be a space for that. So we will discuss when you are looking at warehouse, what are things you have to consider. So these are the things you have to consider. And there are certain arrangements you need to have in the warehouse. What are those arrangements? We will discuss. Okay. So inventory holding point, consolidation center, cross-dock center. If you look at this, you can see in the warehouse, these are the area you can see in the warehouse. So holding inventories, you are going to keep your inventories there, and consolidation center, warehouse perform the functions of bringing customer orders, items, either from its own inventory holdings or elsewhere. So cross-dock centers, basically transferring. You're taking things, you are not going to keep it for long. And receive and dispatch. One side from the car shipment you receive, and the other side you will transfer to customers. Okay, you can't take to customer from the ship. You can't take it, right? So what you are going to do, from the ship you will store them, then you transfer them. So this is what you call cross-dock centers. So this is also warehouse. We are not going to keep here more inventories for a long time. So it will be a transferring place. Sortation center. Warehouse can act as a sortation center. You are going to sort it. Sorting will be there. So it's like a cross-dock, but you are going to have the sorting. Things are going to be sorted, and then according to the type, it will be sent out. Assembly facility, then you are going to assemble them. So kitting, testing, cutting, labeling. So these kind of actions are going to be there. And transshipment points. So the ships are going to trans here, and then you are going to reship. So these kind of things also there. So wide range names given for warehouses. Different names are there. Now e-fulfillment center, latest, and fulfillment factory, customer service center, just-in sequence center, supplier consolidation center, warehouse. There are different names are there for warehouses. Okay, when you look at this warehouse, now you will see some pictures here. So from the picture, you will get some understanding. So you can see here, raw material warehouse, right? Finished good warehouse, cross-dock warehouse, temperature controlled warehouse. So these are the 4 areas. So now you can see.
Is it 4 areas or 4 types?
Yeah, 4 types.
Okay.
In certain one warehouse, maybe everything will be there. Raw material will be there, finished good will be there. Yeah, temperature will be there. Sometimes part of it in certain areas, cross-dock. So all are warehouse types, basically.
Okay.
It will be in same warehouse. You can see this also. It will be a separate also. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, raw material cannot be mixed with finished product.
Yeah.
Temperatures, according to the temperature, you have to maintain. Freezer in the place, cooler in the place. Maybe in the same warehouse, you may have a freezer and cooler, room temperature, raw material, finished, because based on the products that you are handling. You can see here, there are certain, there's separate buildings are there, right? In one compound.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so these are basically warehouse area, all a warehouse area coming into that. Different access will be there. So now the security control system will be there. So if you are going to receive things, once you received it, it has to be kept in the right storage. It will be stored in the right location. This is very important. So storage facilities should be, made sure. Then you have to understand how much you are going to receive. You should make sure that you have a space for that. So that is important, right? So you have to have a storage safely kept them, and when you store them, you have to make sure they first in first out. We call that first in first out. Use through date, we call that expiration. You have to double check and also make sure that type of the product. So you have to keep them in the rack storage or floor storage or damaged location. Maybe you may have, you have to keep them in the right place. There are certain equipments you are going to deal with. Different equipments are going to handle in the warehouse. Material handling equipments are there, MHE, material handling equipments. So you are going to deal with different types. And you may have an office setup, yeah, and storage area, sorting area. This is actually sorting area. And packaging, repackaging area, you are going to have that. Kitting and de-kitting area. So packaging, kitting, de-kitting. So all are coming under. This is what we call warehouse management system. So if you look at the warehouse management system software, so they are having all functions of warehouse: inventory management, location management, receiving and put away, picking, sorting, packing, loading, invoicing and dispatching, movement of storage of materials, and inventory reconciliations. Everything will be in one software. You have everything. So I will share the video right now, and then you can see that one. And same thing, what I'm showing here in the picture, you're going to listen to the video. I think there are 4 or 5 videos are there. It will be 2-3 minutes videos. So you can watch it. Now we are going to play that one. You are going to watch it. So, okay. So do you have idea now? Overall? So these
Yes,
are the pictures.
Yes.
Now, if you look at that warehouse, come to that one. There are some other type of warehouse. Right, this is also important. In your warehouse setup, you have to make sure, do you have a flow? Enough flow that you maintain, in, out. Do you have that space to manage? Accessibility, can you access easily? So when you keep it, when you store it, it should be easily accessed. And you have to make sure capacity. Do you have the capacity to store? And also traceability, meaning where things are there, easily counted and traced. So these all should be kept in mind when you're dealing with the warehouse management. Okay. At the same time, the capacity here, for example, during the time, make sure, for example, 10,000 pallets you are going to keep that in the warehouse. Don't store 10,000. So you go for 85%, meaning 8,500. Why? In the future, you may have more. So it will reach to more than 10,000. So the productivity will go down, right? So you have to make sure, maintain, the space will not be there. So things are going to be very congested. So you have to make sure that 85%, 15% should be a little free, right? And then maintain accordingly. Don't go for 100%. That's the idea you need to maintain. We will discuss this idea, 10 principles, and this one we will discuss later. Here, this is the one I told you. So loading, unloading. There are 2 areas. One way things are loaded. See, can you see this? Here, unloading. From the things are coming in. Now things are going out. So loading and unloading. You understand? Unloading is receiving. Loading means dispatching. Okay. So the U-shaped one. Staging. Once you received, you are going to stage them. And then damaged goods you have to separate. In the staging area, you have to check. You are going to check whether things are already according to standard, or if there are any damages or anything, if anything, you have to sort them and keep them in the damaged goods area. Right? And then you have to keep them in the right space, right place, according to the storage conditions, things to be there stored. Right? First in, first out, you should be there. So these are the people who are going to work in the warehouse. And you will have a office room, what do you call, conference room, office room, yeah, canteen, and record room. Okay. And these are the sorting centers. Information servers. You are having a servers. You are going to, it's very limited. People, not all the people allowed. Access control area. And products, different type of products. According to the type of the product, you are going to set up your rack system. Okay, and also space. So what type of flow system, different type of flow system, equipments that you are handling, and circular flow goods, right? And personnel, people who are working with, and future expansion also you have to consider, facilities for toilet and all. So these are the things you are going to consider when you are setting up a warehouse. You understand? Right, in the warehouse, if you are going to design the warehouse, we are going to see the layout and the process and technology. So these are the three main elements you have to consider when you are designing the warehouse. Can you see this? Right, in the layout, the storage volume and throughput, how you are going to take it. And process, inbound, outbound. So things are going to in and out, storage facilities and automations. So everything should be there using the technology ones. So technology will be there, layout will be there, process will be there. So altogether, warehouse management will be there. Okay. So these are the principles. 10 principles when you're designing the warehouse. Minimum touch of the goods, one-way flow. So one way, so it cannot two way. So if things are coming, it should be one way, not right to present. That's why two gates are there. No? One side receiving, one side dispatching. Okay, so one way flow, and also stock in the right place. You have to keep them right amount of the stock, not too much or too less. Efficient labors. You know, sometimes the labors are they are not working according to the standard, like the time. Yeah, they try to work slowly to get more overtime. So we call that labor bugs. We call that labor bugs. You know, bugs, what the bug is doing, sucking the blood. No, these people, they want overtime, so they slow down their process.
They
So,
eat away.
yeah.
They eat away.
Yeah. So these people, you have to make sure your laborers are well trained and also educated. They are more efficient to work, right? So unnecessarily you can't pay for them overtime and all. And benchmarking, you have to compare. There are certain functions, especially cost-related things. You have to consider comparing last year to this year, what is happening. Benchmarking, and select the right material handling system, MRP system, ERP system, and know your data things that you are going to deal with. And warehouse management softwares. There are certain Oracle, there are different types of softwares are there. Even warehouse management system and software you are going to buy, and then handle, right? And consultants, they are going to be part of it. So you have to consider when you're designing and operating your warehouses. These are the things you have to consider. Okay. So before I dig the subject, the other part of it, I will send the video and just watch it, and then we will come to that. Just yeah. Okay, so you feel you learned something?